Hi, this is Chris Kiefer, and welcome to the Power of ERDC podcast. We continue our series of episodes recorded on location at ERDC's RD26 workshop. Today, we will discuss an innovative ERDC project to provide water to warfighters in the Arctic. Expedition ARCHIE, or the Arctic Resilience Collaboration for Hydrological Sustainment Infrastructure Experiment, featured a collaboration between ERDC, the U.S. Space Force, and the Danish Defence Estate Agency at Pituffik Space Base in Greenland. It included a demonstration of ERDC's Deployable Resilient Installation Water Purification and Treatment System, or DRIPS. Joining us to discuss this effort is Dr. Clint Smith, Senior Research Biologist at ERDC's Geospatial Research Laboratory. Clint, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing me to participate with the Power of the ERDC podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We're glad to have you. And I guess I want to start to kind of help our audience understand the topic and kind of the significance of it. Can you talk about the problem of water resilience in the Arctic and why that matters?
Sure. So the significance of the project and the water resilience in the Arctic is affected by the extreme cold temperatures. So keeping water in the liquid form is key and important to the warfighters, specifically for Space Forces. They're the guardians. So meeting their critical missions, sustainment, and assured access to water and systems operations is what's the important component and why the DRIPS was integrated into the Arctic. So like water's one of the top 3 resupplied demand signatures on the battlefield, and that's why it's important.
Sure, I guess you think, there's a lot of water in the Arctic, but a lot of it, like you said, is frozen and inaccessible. I guess, added to it, it tends to be more remote. Maybe does that make it more difficult? And something you mentioned we talked the other day is storms.
Yes.
Let's talk more about that, yeah.
Sure. So there's roughly from like September to May, they have an extended winter and loss of light over that time frame. There's remote facilities that even the base is remote. So it's about 750 miles north of the Arctic Circle, and it's the U.S.'s northernmost base. So they don't have access to like Home Depot at a city or railroad or whatever. So when you need to have access to those key life support systems such as water and have the availability to maintain the mission.
Sure. I think you told me too, we're going to get into kind of your experience out there as Expedition ARCHIE. But when y'all first got there was a storm that came. Like you had to get in quick and get it.
Yeah. So we landed, and basically the operators came to us, and there was a whole logistical thing to get the system up there. They pulled it out of storage, and the site is roughly 6 miles off base. And a winter storm came in where it was close to 10 degrees. So cold, but 40-mile-an-hour winds and a winter storm. So they're like, we may go into lockdown. Let's get your equipment out there and put it in place so we're ready in case we're locked up for 2 or 3 days.
Which is, again, back to the main issue, why you've got to have enough water. Right. Not like you can just go out and go ahead and get it somewhere. Yeah. Because you're hungry now. So talking about Expedition ARCHIE and your involvement in it resulted from an existing collaboration known as the Ice Cooperative Engagement Program for Polar Research. or is it ice paper? Is that the acronym?
Yeah, a lot of people
PPR, but they say ice paper, correct?
paper, right?
Tell us more about that collaboration.
Sure. So that the ice paper program is ran by the Office of Naval Research. Mr. John Woods and Admiral Selby, around the 2020 timeframe, signed a memorandum of understanding that was for about 25 years for a collaboration of 7 nations. So it includes the U.S., Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Canada, and those are the northern poles. The 7th one is the southern pole, which is New Zealand.
You don't think of New Zealand initially as an Arctic country.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So through that collaboration, they formed different working groups. So we're just one of these sub-working groups within ice paper.
And ERDC's had a pretty big leadership role within ice paper. Tell us more about that, you personally, and ERDC as well.
Sure. So the Army lead director, the director of the Krell lab is usually the Army lead for ice paper. And under that, they have a senior scientific technical manager in Krell, Alaska. Dr. Tom Douglas is like the representative on the executive committee. That's for the main environmental working group. And under the environmental working group, there's 3 other sub-working groups. So that includes the infrastructure, power and energy, and water wastewater. So I'm the water wastewater lead, but you need to have all 3 to maintain, that life support in the Arctic.
Sure.
Yeah. So we collaborate a lot together, and part of the infrastructure working group there within the ERDC, there's the Arctic Infrastructure Research Group, or AIRG, and we collaborate all the time and coordinate with NORAD Northcom as well.
Sure, people may have seen a recent episode with Justine Yu as well, talking about the Arctic Infrastructure Research Group. So
yeah, we collaborate with her.
Sure.
And the teams there, Dr. Kevin Biela, and a lot of people.
Sure. So yeah, ERDC plays a big role in this group. Talk about just the importance of this international collaboration.
Yeah, so the international collaboration is very important. It's important to our allies, and it's a great collaboration with our allies, where we share knowledge. It's focused on the research, development, test and evaluation, the RDT&E areas. So essentially, you can't have a project, or what they call a project arrangement, and without having that shared component. So each country that's participating brings something to the effort, such as like either shared knowledge, the place to test at, or the technology, or maybe just a small component. They may have like a special filter for water, to go into a piece of equipment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So Expedition ARCHIE. Yep. Talk more about what it was and how you came to be involved with it.
Sure. So it started a few years ago through these ice paper collaborations with the water wastewater working group. It became much larger than just the ERDC. It was through the Department of War, and we have a lot of guidance and input from the other DevCom, GVSC, Soldier Center, with the Navy, with the Air Force, Space Force. So through these relationships, we came up with these ideas for kind of like a total water plan, for how we can evaluate our systems with the international partners. And Space Force came to us with some requests, and that's how kind of Expedition ARCHIE kind of formed. And we were invited to Pituffik Space Base and continued those collaborative meetings, and that's kind of where the project formed. And then we sought out like where we can find the funding to support those efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And yep.
Yeah. And so then taking a step back, DRIPS is obviously a big part of this. That's kind of where a lot of your involvement came from too. DRIPS is, if you maybe help me with the acronym again.
Sure.
But talk about what it was, how it started, and kind of how it's evolved through the years.
Sure. So we've built different water purification systems within the ERDC that we saw from our other like expeditions and involvement with like Indo-PACOM and small like squad level and being part of the ERDC and the Corps of Engineers and coordinating with installations, we like to build that capacity of the systems larger to have more output. And so we also formed relationships with the US EPA and some industry partners. And so there was a system called the WOW cart, or Water on Wheels, and that's with WaterStep in Kentucky. And we wanted to integrate our knowledge of our small backpack with that system to have higher output. And so that's what, when we ruggedized the WOW cart, it became the drips.
Okay. That's the deployable
Resilient Installation Water Purification and Treatment System.
Okay, sure.
So a few extra words, but the drips. So the drips name was formed within one of these working group meetings with larger like DevCom Army water systems. So those STs knew about the system. And we're like, how can we come up with a cool name that, like, we could use? So the drips was the name we came up with.
So for people who aren't familiar, kind of describe the system, both what it looks like and what its capabilities
are. So originally the system was made to respond to natural disasters. So they wanted a light system that could fit in the bed of a pickup truck to get through, with these tornadoes or hurricanes, get through the trees into the disaster zone and operate off a power source that was already there. So it's a generator.
Okay.
And it's made to fit through doorways. So it's like 3 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. So it can fit through any standard doorway, and it's still a steel structure, but lightweight enough to move around with a few people. Yeah, so roughly about 4 or 5 soldiers can lift the system at the kind of drips 1.0 version that we have. We have new versions that are the next generations, but we looked at the original system. We modified it to have the valves that operate it, what we call treatment trains. Mm-hmm. There were roughly 20. We reduced it to 7. And as we started taking it, not only just within ERDC, but to the quartermaster liquid logistics exercises. And we went to Fort Barfoot and Fort Bragg and had a lot of soldier feedback from a lot of different units. So the Army Reserve and the quartermaster, as well as like the 953rd Theater Sustainment Center, mm-hmm. and Theater Petroleum Center, and the 377th, and the 75th Innovation Command. So all of those units had provided soldiers and provided this feedback that already had the military MOS, which is like the 92 whiskey. They're the operators in the field. They're like, this is how you can improve the system. So we added the Carc paint for protection. We added dual pre-filtration component, so you don't have to shut the system down. You can shut one side down to clean it, but keep it operating. Yeah, and then we've looked at increasing different types of treatments from the it's a mini water treatment plant.
Okay.
So if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
And then adding new emerging technologies. So there's new like plasma technology that can separate contaminants, and we're looking at that. We're looking at desalinization as new types of like removal from sources of water, such as like salt water, brackish water, versus just fresh water.
Is this potable water? Is this gray water? How does it?
It can be used for gray water reuse.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done that at Camp Shelby and in coordination with the other labs. And we've also, it is potable water, and it's gone through the different certifications to get it to the potable water certification. So the NSF 61 certification, there's NSF P248, and there's different pieces that are for like chemical, biological, and then we follow the policies of similar to what the EPA would use, but the military uses, called the TB-Med 577. And that's like a tri-service standard for short-term or long-term duration, depending if you're out in the field longer than like 30 days or 60 days.
Sure.
Yeah.
How much How much output does it have?
So right now it's 10 gallons per minute, and it depends on the source. Sure, if the turbidity is high, it'll go slower. But there's a filtration that's called granulated activated carbon. It's kind of like if you think about your fridge or just a water filter. It does need changing out over time. So we looked at those different type sizes of filters, but we want to get out to, and we're working on that, to 100 gallons per minute, which is a much higher capacity. So it was used in a use case scenario in Lake Charles, Louisiana during a recovery of a hurricane for 18 days, and it saved 800,000 bottles of water over 18 days. Yeah. So and you don't have the waste from the bottled water, so you can just fill it into a pack and take it and use it for whichever use you need it for.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
The other unique thing is it uses an electrochlorinator, which most current Army water systems don't have integrated into it. They dose it with chlorine, whereas we can use table salt to make bleach inline or separately as it's producing.
So easier. It's a lesser logistical burden.
Right.
Sure. So talk about now put it all together, taking drips and using it at Expedition ARCHIE. What was that experience like? How did it perform? What did you learn?
Sure. Yeah, it was a great learning experience. And even just to back it up a little bit, not just at the exercise during the demonstration, but getting it to the exercise.
Sure.
There's only one operation that takes equipment up there once a year. So you have to have the equipment ready almost 6 months before to get it to the location. But then because of the sensitivity of the location we were taking it to, we didn't have a lot of information about the pipes, the adapters, how do we integrate the system. So we had to come up with that on our own and just send enough equipment to have access to those pieces.
Yeah.
So that was a great thing. We got the system up there, we integrated it. And then the cool part was they store water at this facility. So they produce the water at the treatment center at the main base, and then it goes periodically to a storage tank. So thinking that the water stays potable, it doesn't over time. So you may have to retreat it, and especially for these lockdowns, when they're stuck, you have to be sure that we can have potable water or reusable water for the facilities, or also the bleach to decon the kitchen, the bathrooms, all of that. So we found that we had space to put it within the facility, so that gave us the installation protection from the extreme cold, and then they had the space to store the water inside. And what we did is we showed with the pre-concentration we can remove more of the sediment that they didn't know what was in the stored water, and so we help purify the water further, and so they want to keep that for emergency preparation and use within that facility.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. For new capabilities.
Right.
That's a new out of it.
Yep.
Using it in the Arctic too? Is this the first time you've used it in
No, there's
that climate? Yeah.
We first took it to Fort Wainwright in Alaska for part of Arctic Edge, and it is stored in a facility, but we're doing some new collaborations with some new Army program executives, and they would like to integrate it for support to hospitalization and medical devices, and so when we do that, there's an existing framework that the system can fit into that has what we call heat tracers, and that keeps the liquid.
Oh, sure.
The liquid logistics and maintaining it. So when it is exposed to -35, -40 degrees Fahrenheit, the internal components stay warm and can provide that for treatment inside their mobile hospitals, or even their wastewater treatment, to treat the water so they don't have to store the waste treated water.
Neat. Yeah, sure. It's like I said, lots of capabilities, which great. Talk about the experience of collaborating with the U.S. Space Force. Still, relatively new.
Sure. Yeah, that is a great relationship that we're building, and we're doing that through. We just got it signed last September for a memorandum of agreement for the next 10 years to support water and energy improvements. The Army usually at every installation, every 5 years, does a look at their water and energy improvements that they can make. And so the other Department of War members like do that as well at their installations. So we're helping support their environmental teams assess those parts of the installation.
Sure.
Yeah. So that relationship continues. That one's specific to Pituffik Space Base, but there's other many remote undisclosed locations that they have an interest in.
Sure.
To do this, and if it can work in the Arctic, it has a high chance of working at other places.
Sure.
But we still have to evaluate those locations. Yeah.
Sure, unique. But I guess, yeah, maybe that's kind of another exciting thing about this expedition. It's like maybe one of those, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere sort of thing. Really, sure, really, yeah, sure. Really way to prove the capability.
Right.
I guess another unique thing about this, I kind of like to talk about, is just the number of laboratories that come together as part of this effort. And kind of, even we talk about this event we're at right now, RD26, and for our audience is interested more, we did an episode a couple weeks back with the organizers kind of talking about this event itself and how it brings together multiple laboratories. And we like to talk about, it's the name of the podcast, the Power of ERDC,
right.
is when you have multiple labs coming together, you can kind of do things in new ways that you couldn't have done alone.
Sure.
This project is kind of an example of that. You kind of talk about how many labs coming together and what that has enabled you to do.
Yeah, it's like a homecoming.
Yeah.
For RD26.
Yeah, right.
Especially with this project and past projects, I've been able to harness the power of the ERDC. I come from the GRL lab,
This Geospatial
Research Lab, but this project is pulled from the environmental lab, from the construction engineering research lab, and the cold regions research engineering group. So all of us are collaborating together. The actual operation water portfolio is kind of led by the Searle lab, a construction engineering research lab. So we collaborate with Dr. Martin Page, and the OTD there with Jim Allen and Dr. Nelson. So between all these different directors and technical directors and the RDA's components and the subject matter experts, all of us kind of pulled together at these meetings too for ice paper, and we developed how can we meet these new customers' needs and gaps, and what can we harness from the ERDC to do that. And so we have and been able to pull not just the drips, but Dr. Chris Griggs has an expertise in the contaminants for PFAS, PFOA, gray water reuse. So we've utilized those systems. We've talked to Aaron Petrie at Searle with the dilute system, which is like wastewater, and that meets all the different water, wastewater needs. And then we take all that input from our labs, and then the expertise from CREL, which is understanding the platforms that you put them on, and how can you put a concrete slab on permafrost, or right location so it doesn't sink over time, those kind of things. So those expertise help for the total water system plan that we have to improve that base.
Sure. And I guess having just people who are experts in so many different areas all under one organization, that it may be a lot more seamless to be able to to collaborate and bring.
Oh yeah,
sure.
So it's a challenge, but it's a great challenge, and it's great to be able to sync up with the different labs, and then all of our teams get to meet together and work in the field together and learn from each other.
Sure. Yeah, sure. All right. Industry partnerships. I know you talked a little bit. Is it WaterStep?
WaterStep is one of them.
Yeah, and tell us both about that and just efforts to kind of transition our technology and so forth.
So we've built CRADAs, the cooperative research development agreements with these industry partners. There's actually a few other ones that we've developed for the infrastructure components that are tied to SBIRs, which are small business initiatives. And we're collaborating with T2Com and those labs and the lieutenant colonels that lead those, as well as some other small businesses in Louisiana. And those pairings, we've patented some of the technology, and we work with ERDC Works. So ERDC Works has introduced us with some of the companies, such as like Mid-South is another one.
Yeah.
And they're a disaster response team, so we're helping design a new water surveillance system for them as well, and how that can be pulled into military support or emergency response support and emergency preparation.
Sure.
So we have a good developing relationship with some of these industry partners and larger Army industry partners to help get them transitioned over to programs of record or who that program manager would be for the military.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. And then lots of partners too, I guess, across the government.
Sure.
Allies, as you mentioned, just through ICABR.
Yeah, it's great. We have a good relationship with a lot of these countries, and it's kind of like herding cats. You're winging an airplane as it's landing, we're rigging off. And a lot of the international partners, some may stay, but a lot of them rotate.
Sure.
They're not as big as the U.S., so they have multiple tasks they have to do. So we have a lot of, but they usually pass it on to somebody. So someone's there to like take it on.
Sure.
And so we've been able to forge those relationships and keep them and keep those within the Army too, within the different Department of War teams.
Yeah. A lot's just, and you've kind of talked about some of it already, but just kind of what's next, what you kind of see the future holding for this effort.
Yeah, so I see it. So we do have these agreements for the next at least 5 to 10 years, I would say. And as this emerging technology, formulates within ERDC, and as these systems get ready out of prototype stage to like testing in the field, we try to sync them up with those next exercises with the different COCOMs and commands, and where we can take them either in the U.S. or with our international partners to evaluate them. And so that we're doing that with the drips. We're looking at that with the gray water reuse systems, collaborations with academia too. We have a great relationship with the Water Reuse Consortium with the University of Arizona. And so just have to see how the future of funding plays out for the next few years, but we have some great relationships forming to continue this work.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thanks again. Thanks for this discussion and for joining us, and thanks for the work you're doing. I mean, very important work. Like you said, water is such an important logistical need for warfighters and directly saving lives and everything else. So thanks for all your research, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, and it's great to be part of an honor to be part of the podcast and be part of the Power of the ERDC.
Yeah, well, absolutely glad to have you. And to our audience, we thank you for joining us today. Again, we remind you that you can go to our website, poweroferdcpodcast.org, for many more resources. We'll also watch a video of this podcast for those of you who are listening to the audio version of it. We're in iTunes and Spotify and all the various podcast apps. So lots of places you can find us. And until next time, that's all we have for today.